सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। Dear friends, we are in the fourth Anuvaka of Taittiriya Upanishad. In the previous Anuvaka, we had seen the Mahasamhita. That means how the Taittiriya Upanishad tries to open our eyes to the fact that the entire world is well knit together, and this kind of confluence, this kind of togetherness is called Mahasamhita, and it different levels it has shown us that there is Mahasamhita, and whoever understands this particular Mahasamhita also gets various material wealth and ultimately the spiritual awareness and spiritual realization, and ultimately to the Swargaloka also. And now this fourth Anuvaka, it has some reference to the Omkara also. And now Yas Chandasamiti Medha Kamasya Shri Kamasya cha Tat Prapti Sadhanam Japa Homau Uchyete. Now, connecting to this particular part of Taittiriya Upanishad, Shankara Bhagavad Pada explains Yas Chandasam iti. That means the fourth Anuvaka begins with the words Yas Chandasam Rushabho Vishwarupaha, etc. Now he says these words, what do they do? Tat Prapti Sadhanam Japa Homau Uchyete. So with these words, Taittiriya Upanishad gives us the tools for what the means for Japa and Homa. So these are the means or tools for Medha Kamasya, Shri Kamasya. That means for a person who desires to get some intellect, get some wealth. So this is the means. And there are two things here. One is Japa, because Swahakara is mentioned, and another is Homa. So here he says, with these words Taittiriya Upanishad gives us both Japa, the chanting of mantra, and Homa, the oblation here, for a person who wants both intellect and wealth. And what is the base for this kind of conjecture? Here Shankara Bhagavad Pada again explains, Samendro medhaya sprunotu tato me shriyamavaha iti cha linga darshanat. He says this particular sense is understood from this on the basis of the indication linga darshanat. That means there appears an indication in the Upanishad part itself. What is that indication? So in the forthcoming mantras we find Samendro medhaya sprunotu. So there is one word, medhaya sprunotu. That means may that Indra, the Almighty, unite us with the medha, intellect. So this is one indication. And in another mantra, tato me shriyamavaha, that means you lead me to that wealth. So two things are mentioned here. One is medha, intellect, and other is wealth, Shri. And thus, whoever chants these mantras, whoever understands the sense and performs Havana, he will definitely get both intellect and wealth. And now, what are the mantras? The text proper now. Yas Chandasam Rushabho Vishwarupaha Chande Dhyamrutat Sambabhuva Samendro Medhaya Sprunotu Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vicharshanam Jihva Me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmanah Koshosi Medhaya Pihitah Shrutam Me Gopaya Avahanti Vitanvana Kurvana Chiramatmanah Vasagum Simamagavascha Annapane cha sarvada tato me shriyamavaha lomasham pashubhis sahaswaha amayantu brahmacharina swaha Vimayantu brahmacharinah swaha. Pramayantu brahmacharinah swaha. Damayantu brahmacharinah swaha. Shamayantu brahmacharinah swaha. So, these are the first mantras in this Anuvaka. Now here, in short, what these mantras say, these two parts here, Yaha Chandasam Rishabhaha Vishwarupaha. So this is about the Omkara. This is about Pranava. What is this Omkara? This part of Upanishad says, this Omkara is Chandasam Rishabhaha. That means it is the nourisher of the essence of Chandas. That means here the Veda. So Omkara is the essence or nourisher of this particular Veda. Rishabhaha means nourisher. Vishwarupaha, of varied forms. That means after all it is Omkara which manifests itself in various forms. That's why Devim Vachamajanayanta Devastam Vishwarupah Pashavo Vadanti. So that's what the Krishna Yajurveda says, that the gods use it differently. Actually, this is the first base of, first seed of speech. And this speech, the fundamental reality in the world, that has been variously used by all beings, all humans, all kinds of humans, at whatever place they may reside. So these beings, humans, all these people speak. And this particular speech is Vishwarupa. That means of varied forms. Chando obhya adhyamrutat sambabhuva. So where is it born from? This Omkara is born from Chandebhyaha. That means Chandas. Chandas is the Veda. Chandobhyaha. That means from the Vedas. Adhi amrutat. From that eternity, from that immortality, the Pranava is born. Is actually, in our tradition, Pranava is the Nitya Shabda. And therefore, the relation between the Pranava and its sense, that is the Ishvara, is eternal. And this Omkara is a manifestation of that eternal Veda itself. And now, the reality indicated by this particular Pranava, referred to by this particular Pranava, is Indra. Indra in the Vedas is no other than the Almighty, the God. And here, Saha Indraha, that means let that Indra, the Almighty, Ma Medhaya Sprunotu. That means let that Indra nourish me, fulfill me, fill me with this Medha. That means the intellect. And now the sadhaka says, Amrutasya Devadharano Bhuyasam. Hey Deva, that means, O Lord, Aham Amrutasya Dharanaha Bhuyasam. That means, may I become the holder of that immortality. That means, you give me that power, you give me that eligibility, so that I will become immortal. I will be the perfect locus of that immortality. Deva Amrutasya Dharanaha Aham Bhuyasam. So this is the benediction here. And not only that, there are other desires, wishes here. Shariram me vicharshanam. Vichakshanam or vicharshanam means, may my body become vicharshana. That means competent. Jihva me madhumattama. Not only the body, because of course the body has to receive the spiritual strength and it should contain that. And it is not an easy task, because in our tradition we understand that when a person tries in the yogic path and when his spiritual awareness rises to higher levels, then his body should be prepared for that. Otherwise his body will become fragile, weak, etc. And that's why the prayer here is very apt, that Shariram me vicharshanam bhuyat. That means, may my body become competent, eligible for this particular spiritual descent. Jihva me madhumattama. Not only that, let my tongue, let my speech be sweeter, madhumattama. That means whatever I utter, whatever my speech flows out, that should be sweeter, agreeable to all the beings. That means may I utter only the agreeable things, only the useful things. Karna abhyam bhuri vishruvam. And the prayer goes on. It says, Karnabhyam, that means with my ears, Bhuri Vishruvam, may I hear the abundance. That means the Brahma. That means here, all my senses should function for that particular reality. So that's why first, may my body be competent. 2, may my speech be agreeable, acceptable to all. 3rd, may I hear only the best with my ears. And now the Vedics here addresses the Pranava, Omkara. Brahmanah koshosi, Omkara, ho Pranav. Brahmanah koshahasi. That means you are the sheath, you are the cover of that Brahma. Medhaya pihitaha. And you are concealed, hidden by intellect. So these two words are very important in the spiritual path, that the Omkara has been described here as the sheath of Brahma, because the Brahman is hidden in the Pranava, hidden very deep, and our intellect actually conceals the fact, and our intellect only opens that also, reveals the reality also later on. That's what we find exactly the function of this particular intellect. In the Sankhya Darshan also we find that the intellect, this conceals the fact and it only opens that jnanam, that opens the door to liberation. So here he says, Hey Omkara Pranava, you are the sheath of that Brahma. That means in you the Brahman is hidden. Just like the sword is put in the sheath, similarly the Brahman is within this particular Omkara. And how is that? We find in the Mundaka Upanishad also, in the Yoga Sutra also, that it is Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. That means the Pranava, the Omkara, is the very indicator of that Brahman. And by the practice of this particular Omkara, by constant chanting of this particular Omkara, a person wakes up in this Brahman awareness realization. And that's why this is called the sheath of Brahma. Not only that, this is Medhaya Pihitaha. That means an ignorant person cannot find that particular potentiality of the Omkara, but other people who are open to that, who practice that, and who are introvert rather spiritually, they can understand this kind of strength of Omkara. And that's why he says that the nature of this Omkara is concealed to the ignorant people. Medhaya Pihitaha. That means it is concealed, hidden, it is covered by our intellect only. And if we open our eyes to this, we can find that the Pranava has this strength to lead us to this Brahman realization. And now the benediction here, Shrutam me Gopaya. That means, O Pranava, O Lord, me Shrutam Gopaya. That means you protect my knowledge, because getting knowledge is one, and retaining that, assimilating that, and remembering that at a particular point of time is another point. So two things are very important here: getting knowledge and retaining that and using that in a particular point of time. Here the devotee prays to the Lord, Shrutam me Gopaya, please protect my knowledge so that I will remember the things learnt at the time of death also. Shrutam me Gopaya. And after that, now the prayer goes on saying that the result of this particular Havana Japa, what is that? Avahanti Vitanvana. Avahanti, carrying, Vitanvana, spreading. What? Kuruvana Chiramatmanaha. That means, and making all auspicious things to this Atman. Atmanaha Chiram Kuruvana. In Vedic language, that Chiram becomes Chiram. Kuruvana Chiramatmanaha. That means, may this knowledge bring all auspicious things to this soul. Vasam simama gavascha. Not only that, may this knowledge bring Vasamsi, that means the clothes. Mama gavascha, the animals. Annapanecha sarvada, and food, drinks, all that. That means whatever is essential for my survival on this planet, may this knowledge bring me all that. Tato me Shri Yamavaha. Not only that, from that may it lead me to that prosperity. Not how Lomasham Pashubhissaha Swaha. This is Havana. Lomasham Pashubhihi. That means the animals which have hair, like sheep and other animals. So, Lomasham Pashubhihi Saha Swaha. That means may this knowledge bring me that kind of animals. Amayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. Brahmacharinaha Ma Ayantu. So this kind of splitting of the word is important. Amayantu. The word should be split in this way. A is the upasarga. Ma is word for me. Then Yantu is the verbal form here. And according to the Panini Sutra, Vyavahitascha, the upasarga, especially in the Vedic literature language, the upasarga is separated. So we can find the upasarga somewhere, the verbal form somewhere, and we have to get that upasarga and connect it with the dhatu or the dhatu rupa. So here yantu is from in eti itaha yanti. So here yantu is the imperative form, and when we take that a and connect it with yantu, it will become ayantu. And ma is separated. Ma means me. Ayantu means come. Who? Brahmacharinaha. That means may the celibates, may the mendicants, may the spiritual persons approach me. So this is the desire here. What is Brahmacharin? That means the people who live in the Brahman, the people who see everywhere Brahman, and their life is Brahmacharya. And that kind of Brahmacharya, that means the spiritual awareness, the spiritual realization of the reality around. So that is the Brahmacharya. And the person who lives that kind of Brahmacharya cannot find any difference between the male and female. And of course, later on, the sense has been narrowed. And finally, they have said Brahmacharya means only sexual. But here, Brahmacharya is the very nature of a spiritual life. It is seeing, realizing the Brahman everywhere in all the things. Now the second, Vimayantu Brahmacharinasa Swaha. Brahmacharinaha Ma Viyantu Visheshana Yantu. That means may the Brahmacharins come to me in large numbers and from different directions. Pramayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. Pramayantu Ma Prayantu Brahmacharinasaha. That means may all these Brahmacharins, the spiritual people, come to me in true sense. Prayantu. Damayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. So here the da is not an upasarga. Therefore we cannot separate this as ma and dayantu. It is dama is the word. Dama yantu is the verbal form. Dama means control of sense organs. Shama, Dama. Shama means control of mind. Dama means control of sense organs outside. So Damayantu Brahmacharina Swaha means may the spiritual people control their external senses. Shamayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. May these spiritual people control their mind also, not only the external senses, but the mind also. Because Bhagavad Gita says that a person who controls his external senses only, but thinks of the external objects within, he will be like a cheat. So that's why both are to be controlled, not only the external, the ideas, the thoughts should be controlled. So this is the meaning of these two paragraphs. And now we see what Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains. Yes, Chandasam, we have seen Chandas means Veda. Chandamsi yasya paranani yastam Veda savedavit, says the Bhagavad Gita. So Chandamsi means Vedaha. Chandasam, that means Vedanam, of the Veda. Rushabhaha. Rushabhaha, that means Rushabha iva Rushabhaha. So here the word Rishabha is taken as the word of excellence. That means whatever is excellent, whatever is the essence of the Veda, it is Chandasam Vrishabha. Vishwarupaha. Vishwarupaha, Sarvarupaha, Sarva Vag Vyaptehe. And it is, the Pranava is Vishwarupaha. That means it is all pervading. It manifests itself in various forms. Both are the meanings. Vishwameva Rupam Yasya Saha Saha Vishwarupaha Pranavaha. That means the entire universe is the very form of this Pranava. That means the Pranava, Omkara, manifests itself in the form of this particular universe. So Vishwarupaha is an adjective of that Pranava. Sarvarupaha, because the entire world is knit together with speech, and whatever may be the nature of the speech or the difference of speech, every speech originates from this particular Omkara. Therefore Omkara is the Vishwarupaha. And Shankara Bhagavad-pada quotes here from Chandogya Upanishad, Tad yatha shankuna parnani. So we find here the example of Shanku. That means in a leaf we find the veins of the leaf, and all spread within the leaf, carrying the essence of the plant to the corner, to the minute cell of that particular leaf, and it carries the essence. Similarly, the Pranava carries the essence of Veda to every corner of all the languages, and that's why it is all pervading. It is Vishwarupa. Tad yatha shankuna ityadi shrutyantarat atayeva rishabhatvam omkarasya. That's why Chandasam Rishabha. So this kind of eulogy is very apt for this Omkara, because Omkara is the very essence of the Upanishad. It is the best in the Veda. Omkaro hi atra upasyaha. And here of course the Omkara is that which is to be worshipped, which is to be contemplated upon, which should be properly understood and memorized every time. Iti Rushabhadi Shabdaihi Stutir Nyaya Eva Omkarasya. So it is of course very appropriate that the Omkara, which is the essence of the Vedas, is properly praised here. So Rushabhadi Shabdaihi, with the words Rushabha, etc. That's why when the Upanishad calls the Omkara as Vrishabha, Shankara Bhagavad-pada says it's very apt because it is the essence of the Veda. Chandobhyaha, Chandobhyaha. That means Vedebhyaha, from the Veda. Veda hi amrutam, tasmad amrutat adhisambhuva. Chandobhyaha adhi amrutat sambabhuva. That's what the beginning said. So Chandas or Veda is Amrita. That means eternal, immortal. And that from that immortal Veda, the Omkara has originated. That's why Chandobhyaha Vedebhyaha Amrutat Adhisambabhuva. So the Omkara has come out. Amrutam Vedahi Amrutam. So Shankara Bhagavad-pada says there is no other than Veda. Veda itself is Amrita. Loka Deva Veda Vyahrutibhyaha Sarishtham Jigrukshoh Prajapatehe Tapasyataha Omkaraha Sarishthhatvena Pratyabhat Ityarthaha. Now Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains one more thing here, that when Prajapati desired to get the essence of the world, the gods and knowledge, Loka, Deva, Veda, three things. So when he desired to extract the essence of all the three, then tapo tapyata, tapas tapyataha. That means he performed penance. That means he deliberated on that, he contemplated on that, and from thus that contemplation, Omkaraha Sarishthhatvena Pratyabhat. So when he deliberated on that, on the essence of all the three, the world, the knowledge and the Deva, gods, then the Omkara only struck to him as the essence of the three. Nahi Nityasya Omkarasya Anjasa eva Utpattireva Kalpyate. We should not think that the Omkara here is mentioned as having origin or creation. Of course, Omkara is Nitya. And if we translate the word Adhisambhabhuva as it originated or it was created, then it amounts to say that the Omkara is also created. But it is not proper. That's why Shankaracharya says, Nityasya Omkarasya Utpattireva Nakalpyate. So the eternal Omkara cannot be stated to have this origin or creation. Therefore, we should understand that the Omkara was revealed to that Prajapati when he contemplated. Saha evam bhutaha Omkaraha Indraha. And this Omkara is itself the Almighty, the Prajapati, Indra. So that is this Omkara. Sarva Kameshaha Parameshwaraha. And this Omkara, which is Lord of all desires, which fulfills all desires. Ma, that means Mam. Medhaya, that means with intellect, Prajnaya. Sprunotu. Sprunotu means Prinayatu. Balayatu, that means may it strengthen me, may it fulfill me. May this Omkara give me all kinds of strength, because it is the Lord of strength, it is Lord of all speech. Prajnabalam hi prarthyate. So, the sense of this particular paragraph is that the devotee prays for that Prajnabalam, that means the intellectual strength. So, he prays to the Lord, give me the strength of intellect so that I can lead a very comfortable life. Amritasya devadharano bhuyasam. This is the second sentence. Amritasya, that means whatever is this immortality, that, what is that? Amritatva hetu bhutasya brahmajnanasya. Shankaracharya explains this Amrita, that means immortality, is no other than Brahmajnana. And he is very firm in this particular matter. Very firm. That Brahmajnana alone is immortality, because it leads to immortality. Amritatva, that means immortality. Hetu bhuta, that means the cause. What is that cause of immortality? Brahmajnana. Realization of Brahman. Realization of cosmic reality. So he says, here, Amritasya dharano bhuyasam means, Lord, give me that intellectual strength so that I bear, I hold this particular Brahmajnana, the realization of Brahman, which leads me to that immortality. That means after attaining this particular Brahmajnana, I will never have any death at all. Tat adhikarat, Brahmajnanasya tat adhikarat, because this particular person is eligible to get that Brahmajnana. He Deva, addressing that Omkara, he says, O my Lord, dharanaha bhuyasam, may I become the holder of this immortality. Kincha, not only that, something else is also requested here, that is shariram me vicharshanam. Vicharshanam, we have seen the meaning of vicharshanam as explained by Shankara Bhagavad-pada is vichakshanam. So, what is this vichakshanam? Yogyam ityarthaha. That means, may my body become eligible for this spiritual descent. It should be well prepared to receive that spiritual strength. Shariram me vicharshanam. And we understand that in the previous sentence, Amritasya devadharano bhuyasam. Bhuyasam is the lakara there, is the verbal form there. And now here, shariram me vicharshanam is the third person. Bhuyasam is first person. Therefore, the verbal form should be changed to third person, that is bhuyat. Bhuyat iti prathama purusha viparinamaha. So Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains that the benedictive form, first person form, bhuyasam, should be changed to bhuyat, so that the second shariram me vicharshanam can be properly construed. Jihva me madhumattama. Me jihva madhumattama bhavatu bhuyat. That means, may my speech become madhumati. Atishayena madhura bhashini. That means, may my speech be filled with all sweet things, all useful things, all auspicious things. That's what the Krishna Yajurveda says. Madhuvata rutayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhvi irna santvaushadhihi madhunakta mutoshasi. And finally it says madhumatim vacham udyasagum sushrushenyam. So this is madhumati vak. That means the speech which is aimed at the welfare of all beings, everybody, and which really creates some change, which causes some change in all the beings and leads them to knowledge, and through that immortality. That speech is madhumati. And the devotee prays here, Jihva me madhumattama, may my speech be vigorous, may my speech be sweet. So that is the prayer. Karna abhyam, that means shrotrabhyam, with my ears. Bhuri vishravam, that means may I hear only that auspiciousness in abundance. Atmajnana yogyaha karya karana sanghataha astu iti vakyarthaha. So if you connect all these sentences, when you make a particular single sentence, what is the meaning? Shankaracharya explains that Atmajnana yogyaha karya karana sanghataha astu. So the sentential meaning is that may the multitude of both the cause and effect be suitable to receive that spiritual knowledge. Atmajnana yogya, that means may my eyes, ears, speech, entire body be eligible for that particular Atmajnana yogya. Atmajnana, that means the self-knowledge, realizing the self as the Brahman. Medhacha tadarthameva hi prarthyate. Otherwise, what is the use of praying for this intellect? For material wealth, for material prosperity, or spiritual wealth? Now we find Shankaracharya explains that medha tadarthameva prarthyate. That means the devotee prays for intellect so that he will become eligible to receive that spiritual knowledge. Otherwise, there is not any strong motive behind getting this particular intellect. So, intellect should be for Atmajnana only. Otherwise, all knowledge will become a burden and the person will be misled. And for that, his intellect should be properly driven. And the very purpose of intellect is self-realization. And that's why the prayer is very apt here. And now, what are the other sentences? Brahmana koshosi. Brahma, that is the cosmic reality, the all-pervading consciousness. Paramatma, that is the Supreme Self. Koshaha asi. Hey Pranav, you are the sheath of that. Aseriva upalabdhyadhishthanatvat. Because what is the sheath of sword? The sheath is the place where the sword is put and where the sword is obtained. Similarly, this Pranava is like sheath in which we find the Brahman and from which the Brahman can be obtained. And for that reason only, it is metaphorically stated here that the Pranava is like sheath. Tvam hi brahmanaha pratikam tvai brahma upalabhyate. Because you are the symbol of Brahman. Tasya vachak of Pranava. Yoga Sutra also says the same thing. That is, the Pranava is the indication, the symbol of the Brahman. Tvai Brahma upalabhyate. And therefore, in that Pranava only, the Brahman reality, the cosmic reality is felt. And we understand a person who regularly practices this particular Pranava can feel the vibrations, can feel that cosmic reality, that Tvai Brahma upalabhyate. That means as he goes on chanting the Pranava and as he lowers the tone and as he feels the vibration within, he can feel that Brahman also. That means his genetic structure will gradually turn towards that Brahman cosmic reality. And here, that cosmic reality Brahma can be easily obtained with the help of Pranava. And that's why all the Upanishads, whether they are Shaiva Upanishad, Shakta Upanishad, Vaishnava Upanishad, Tantra Upanishad and Yoga Upanishad, all the Upanishads emphasize on the practice of this particular Pranava. And the deeper breathing there and the slow chanting of Pranava, feeling the vibrations within, that brings about a very positive change within, and it actually energizes our system. It recuperates our all organs. Not only that, it actually revitalizes our brain. And thus we find the entire system is rejuvenated with this practice of pranava. And that's why he says, Brahmana koshosi medhaya pihitaha. So you are the sheath of this Brahman. You hold, you carry this cosmic reality. Medhaya pihitaha. What is this medha? Laukika prajnaya. This is very important. Medha means intellect. Now, if we fail to understand proper purport of this paragraph, we cannot understand what it means. Because medha, in the first paragraph, he prayed for that medha, intellect. And now if you say that the pranava reality is hidden by intellect, there will be contradiction. Now Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains that medhaya means laukika prajnaya. That means that reality is hidden by the mundane knowledge, the worldly knowledge, the external knowledge, intellect. That means our senses are by nature extrovert. That's what Kathopanishad says. Parang chikhani vetrunat swayam bhuhu parang pashyati nantaratman. That means these senses are so genetically designed that they go outside. That means the cells within, they are actually craving for, you may say, further growth. You may say other cravings are also there. So the cells naturally function outward, and the eyes, ears, all the senses, they function outward only. Paranchikhani vetrunat. And this is the nature. And all the forces within, they function outward. Parang pashyati nantaratman. And that's so naturally our senses tend to function outside. Na antaratman. They cannot get into that, and they cannot see what is within. Our eyes cannot see our heart, lungs, kidneys, everything. Our ears cannot hear that. Our tongue, our nose. So all these senses are extrovert. Therefore, they cannot get the true knowledge of the thing within. But kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanam aichat avritta chakshuhu amrutatvam icchan. But certain soul with that particular kind of eligibility, that soul gets within. And when he becomes an introvert, when he travels within, he realizes this. Pratyega atmanam aichat. And he realizes the soul within. And he will get immortality, of course. So here, medhaya pihitaha means the reality called Omkara is hidden because of our extrovert mind, because of our outside ramifications, outside cravings. And that laukika prajna, that means the general worldly knowledge, that actually takes away from that reality. That means we are always after the worldly things. We think of those things. We try to analyze those things. We try to identify ourselves with those things. And finally, our intellect, that becomes trained, that becomes designed, and that becomes in a way totally covered by this worldly knowledge. And with the practice of this particular Omkara, we can remove the dust layers on our intellect, and finally we can get on to the real nature of this Omkara. Pihitaha. Pihitaha means achhaditaha, covered. So when something is covered by dust, when something is covered by a cloth or something, so we cannot see that really. A diamond, very precious, but if it is covered by dust, if it is hidden somewhere deep in the ground, so nobody can see that, nobody can appreciate that. Similarly, this Omkara's greatness is covered by our worldly knowledge, our extrovert mind. Saha tvam samanya prajnaihi avidita tattvaha ityarthaha. So pranava, it's actually your loftiness, your greatness, your majestic nature. That is the essence of the Veda. But samanya prajnaihi, but people of general caliber, people of general knowledge, people of extrovert mind, avidita tattva, cannot understand and realize the true nature of you, the pranava. Ityartha, this is the sense. Shrutam me gopaya. What is this? Shrutam. Shravana purvakam atmajnanadikam me gopaya raksha. That means, O pranava, protect my intellect, which I have acquired by listening to the Upanishads, by reasoning the nature of that reality, and by living that particular reality. So please protect this, well God, this particular knowledge. Shravana purvakam atmajnanadikam. So shrutam here means the knowledge like self-knowledge, which is obtained from Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So please protect that. Tat prapti avismaranadi kuru ityarthaha. How? That means that prapti avismaranadikam. That means getting knowledge is one thing, and not forgetting that, and every moment being connected with that is very important. And pranava, you please protect that particular knowledge so that I can remember that, I can put it in practice also. Japartha ete mantra medha kamasya. So till this particular sentence, these mantras are for that person who desires to get intellect, and this is japa. That means chanting these mantras, repeating these mantras. Now, homarthastu adhuna shrikamasya mantraha uchyante. And now the other mantra which are meant for a person who desires wealth, Shri Kamaha. So for him, the mantras are being stated now, and these are for homa, that means for havana or oblation. Avahanti, avahanti, carrying, bearing. Vitanvana, this is from Tanu Vistare. So Vitanvana means spreading, enlarging, enriching. Tanotehe tat karmatvat. Vitanvana is from Tanu Vistare Dhatu, and Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains that Vistara is the sense of that particular root. Kurvana. Kurvana is from Kru Dhatu. It means Nirvartayanti ityarthaha. That means affecting or actualizing this particular thing. Achiram. Achiram, that means very fast. Kurvana chiram atmanaha. That means very fast, quick. And the long chiram in the place of chira is only chandasa, that means Vedic, not to be used in the classical Sanskrit. Chiram va kurvana atmano mama. That means you elaborate, you enhance all these things. That means you connect me with all these things. What are they? They are vasamsi. That means clothes, vastrani. Mama gavascha. That means gaha, cows or other animals. Yavat. Annapanecha. Sarvada evamadini kurvana shrihi ya tam tato medha nirvartanat param avaha anaya. That means that kind of wealth, that kind of prosperity is prayed for here, that after attaining this property, I will get all the clothes, I will get all the pashu sampat, I will get all richness. So please carry that to me. This is the sense of the paragraph here, and it is the mantra which is chanted while performing the oblation. Tataha. Tataha means after that. What is after that? Means after attaining that intellect. Param avaha tato me shri yamavaha. That means after that you get me that kind of wealth. Amedhasohi shrihi anarthaya eva iti. Now there is a question. Why the devotee prays for intellect first, wealth next? There is a very great logic behind that. Shankaracharya brings our attention to this particular point, that a person having wealth without intellect is very dangerous. That means a person's wealth, a person's abundance is of no use if he has no intellect. Therefore, first there should be good mind, there should be proper knowledge, then there should be wealth. And that's why first Medha, then Shrihi. This is the order for which the devotee has prayed here. Kim Visishtam. And now what kind of Shri, what kind of wealth here? Lomasham Pashubhis Sahaswaha. He said, Lomasham, अजाव्यादि युक्ताम अन्यैश्च पशुभिः संयुक्ताम आवहा इति अधिकारात् ओंकार एव अभिसंबध्यते. So here the pranava is prayed for, bring me that kind of wealth together with the sheep and other animals which have the hair on their bodies. Swaha. Swahakaraha homartha mantra antajnapanarthaha. That means that particular mantra which is chanted at the performance of oblation ends there. Loma sham pashubhissaha swaha. That means that sentence completes there and it is offered. And there he says swaha. Swa ajuhoti. Swaha. Swayam ahuta. So that is the vak here. Swaha means now this you accept. Offering to the fire. The devotee says, this you accept. Swaha. That means you say that it is yours. Ayantu mam iti vyavahitena sambandha. So as we found the meaning earlier, A is the upasarga separated from the verbal form, and between the upasarga and verbal form in the Vedic language other words used to be placed, and here we find A, Ma, Yantu. But in the classical language of Panini, that means which follows the Panini system, this kind of use is not accepted. Because in Paninian system, the prefix cannot be separated from the verbal form. But in the Vedic language, that kind of usages were prevalent, and we find examples like Nicha Devim Mataram Shriyam Vasaya Mekule in Sri Sukta, where Ni is separated from Vasaya, and when we connect both, we find the meaning as Nivasaya Mekule Shriyam Devim Nivasaya. That means you give us that kind of wealth to all our family. Here also the prefix is separated. Now Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains that you take that prefix and place before the verbal form. There the meaning will be Ayantu. That means may that kind of spiritual persons come to me. Brahmacharino vimayantu, pramayantu, damayantu, shamayantu. So in all the other words also we understand, may that kind of spiritual people come to me in abundance, in large numbers. May they come to me with full strength. May they have physical control. May they have mental control. All this. So with this, the first two mantras are complete, and now in the fourth section itself we have one more paragraph which says Yasho jane asan swaha shreyan vasyaso san swaha tam tva bhaga pravishan swaha sama bhaga pravishan swaha tasmin sahasra shakhe nibhagaham tvayim ruje swaha yatha paf pravatayanti yatha masa aharjaram evam mam brahmacharino dhatarayantu sarvata swaha prativeshosi pramapahi pramapadyasva. It says Yasho jane asani swaha. It means jane, that means among all the people, I yashaha asani. Yashaha means yashasvi. So may I become popular, famous among all my contemporary people. One. Shreyan vasi aso asan swaha. May I become praiseworthy and wealthy. This is the swahakara. Tam tva bhaga pravishan swaha. In the Vedic literature, we find the word bhaga being used for Lord. That's why it said Bhagavan. So bhaga Aishwarya says the dhatu patha also. Bhaga means the richness, the wealth, and that is the lordship of Almighty. So that kind of Aishwarya is bhaga. That is the very nature of Ishvara. Not that material wealth, not having more buildings, not having more cars, etc. But being connected with Ishvara is the real Aishwarya. And he says, Bhaga, hey Lord, tva tam tadrusham tvam pravishani swaha. This is actually a very great statement of this Upanishad. Very great idea of the Upanishad, that the devotee prays to the Lord saying that Tam tva bhaga pravishani. O Lord, may I enter you. That means, may I be established in you. May I close my eyes and, forgetting the entire world, may I be immersed in you, merged in you. So this is the essence of this. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita also, at several places, Bhagavan says, Mam avishati, Mam vishati tattvataha, etc. So in all the places he says, the devotee or the sadhaka, the aspirant, enters in the sense, he becomes one with me. And that is possible only in deep spiritual absorption or meditation. Sama bhaga pravisha swaha. And not only that, oh Lord, you also enter me. That means we through meditation enter the Almighty, and that Almighty also enters us through that spiritual strength. Tasmin sahasra shakhe. Tasmin sahasra shakhe. That means in that multifarious, multifaceted, that all-pervading Lord, sahasra shakhe, nibhagaham tvai mruje swaha. This ni is also an upasarga. So when it is separated, we find there bhaga aham. Bhaga is the sambodhana here. Bhaga is the way of addressing the Lord. Hey Lord, aham tvai, that means may I. Tvai, in you. Ni mruje, ni mruje, that means may I cleanse myself from all impurities, remove all my impurities in you. And this is very, very, very important point here, that I get into deep meditation, then in that meditation I feel the presence of Lord, the cosmic reality, and in that reality I will be totally relieved of all my impurities, because all these impurities belong either to the body or to the mind, because that's what the Ishavasya Upanishad says, that sapratyagad shukram akayam avranam asnaviragum shuddham apapa viddham. These two are very important there, that the person here, that means the Atma, the self, is by nature pure, eternally pure, but all the impurities are attributed to that. How? Through body, through mind. Most of the impurities are attributed ones. How? We find that the physical impurities are there, performing something through the body and attaching that to the mind, and through that attaching to the self. So this is one kind of impurity. And considering that the body should be pure, but when some impurity is found there on the body, thinking that I am impure, this is another kind of attribution or assumption. Similarly, mental impurities are there. Like in the introduction to his Bhashya also, Shankaracharya said that the self is pure, but still aham kanaha, aham badhiraha, aham mukaha, aham sthulaha, aham krishaha. So these are all the qualities of the body, but they are attached to the self. Similarly, aham sukhi, aham dukhi, that sukha, dukkha, they pertain to the mind, but still they are superimposed on the self. And this particular sentence of the Upanishad says, Lord, please give me that spiritual strength so that I will merge in you, and in that spiritual absorption only I can clean myself from all impurities. When I scan myself within, I find that radiant, that crystal-like pure self. That is the purpose of the meditation there. When I scan in the meditation, I find that this is only energy. Shivoham, Shivoham. But the problem when I open my eyes is that I identify myself with the external world, and I find the world as a means to my pleasure, enjoyment. Where is that enjoyment? Where is that pleasure? It is in me. How? Through my different impressions. Where are these impressions? Basically, the craving for material wealth, the craving for sensual pleasures, all this is in the genes. That is genetic. And through this particular genetic fabrication only, I also crave for the external enjoyment. And when I don't find that bliss, that pleasure, that enjoyment within, then naturally I will flow outside. I try to see something beautiful. I try to listen to something which is very pleasurable. I try to touch something. I try to smell something but that is pleasurable to me. So all this is actually outflow of that energy. And when I sit in meditation, I close my eyes, I close all my senses, outward function of the senses, and I try to get inside. And the moment I concentrate on my breath, and the moment I feel that easy flow of the breath, then I realize that cosmic reality. But my genetic fabrication again instigates me, again takes me out. And the moment I open my eyes, there is the dual world, the attractive world outside. And this is the basic reason of all the creation, that bliss, enjoyment, pleasure. And the more I spend in meditation, the less I will find myself extrovert. The more I feel that the world is a matter of pleasure, the less I can get into myself. This is the paradox here, that we have to choose the meditation or external world. And if we can balance both, then that life will be totally purposeful. That will be a complete life, a perfect life. So here he says, "O Lord, grant me that particular spiritual strength so that I can remove all impurities attributed to me and I will shine forth radiantly like that pure self." He says that. Yadha pravatayanti yadha masa aharjaram evam mam brahmacharino dhatarayantu sarvataswaha. This is excellent message. The devotee prays to the Lord, "Oh Lord, please grant me this boon." Just like all the water in the form of rivers flows to the ocean. Just like all the months merge into the year. In the same way, may all spiritual people come to me naturally, without my effort. May all that kind of rigorous people, spiritual people, the people who crave for reality, may those people come to me. Dhataha ayantu sarvataha, from all sides. That means this is actually the satsangati. This particular sentence of the Upanishad stresses on satsangati, because I may be deeply immersed in that particular reality in meditation, but when I come out, when I move in the society, there is every time the danger of being carried away by the worldly pleasures. That's why association with good people is very important here. That's why the devotee prays, "Lord, give me the company, give me the association of good people, spiritually strong people, so that I will be with them, I will be strengthened by their association, and my knowledge will be fortified by that particular association. Please give me their company, give me their association." So that kind of brahmachari. Brahmachari means not only bachelors here. Brahmachari means the people who are very strong in spiritual knowledge, who really live spiritual life. So that kind of people are required nowadays, because we find that very less time we spend in meditation, and most of time we will be outside only, and when we are in the society mingling with the people, so that kind of association is very, very much required. The association of good people, spiritually strong people, very straightforward people. So give me that boon, Lord. That is the prayer here. Prativeshosi pramapahi pramapadyasva. This is the end of the Anuvaka. He says, Prativeshosi, that means you are the abode, you are the place of them. Pramapahi, ma, O Lord, me, prapahi, protect. You please protect me, my Lord. Ma, prapadyasva, please come to me. Please take me as your vessel. Please find your descent in this. Please come to me. Prapadyasva. It is not prapatti here. That means you come to me. You choose me. You take me as your devotee, as your servant. So this is the prayer to the Lord. And with this particular Anuvaka ends. And now Shankara Bhagavad-pada explains the meaning of this particular mantra in his way, and we will see that in our next class. Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.